everybody. Thank you for checking in with us on the post-game recap for the Knicks as they lost Game 5, 127 to 102 at the TD Garden in Boston. Jalen Brunson fouls out of this one. The Knicks still lead the series 3-2. So going to a Game 6 back at Madison Square Garden on Friday night. And now joining myself, Bryan Fonseca, and Ty Butler is the great. We haven't seen him in a couple of games, but happy that he's back with us. Our guy, Bryan Lewis, sports reporter here for the New York Post, joining us here. Bryan, how are you doing, sir?
All right. I just drop in the chat. First thing I hear about is 187. We were talking about murder.
Hey, man, you know what? You dropped the numbers out here. You know what I'm saying? You dropped the 187 numbers out here. I'm just saying you have to come out and take care of this team on Saturday night. This is what you got to do. You got to come out and take care of the team. You can't have any problems with them. What did you make of what you saw from the Knicks tonight? Because it was a disappointing effort. I think a lot of fans would have liked to have seen them, close this out. But what did you make of what you saw from the Knickerbockers tonight?
I mean, beyond disappointing, man. I mean, you don't have to face Tatum, right? Celtics without their best player, and I get it. They're at home. I get it. They have played very well without him this season when they've had to. And then you let Derek White and Luke Cornett beat you. Or maybe I should reverse that order: Luke Cornett and Derek White. I mean, White raining threes, and you talk about coming out and kind of putting your foot on the Celtics next game. I mean, you wanted to do that this game, right? And White coming out raining threes early when you wanted to come out quick and take their heart, and then Cornett out here looking like Mutombo or something. Didn't
That's
play.
what I said during the game.
Yeah, I mean, 7 blocks, third most ever off the bench, I think, in a playoff game. I think most by anybody in a playoff game since 2021. That was a disappointing performance, beyond disappointing, I would say.
Yeah, no, I think you have every right to be disappointed by it if you're a Knick fan here. One of the things we talked about here in the studio, Bryan, was that if you're the Knicks going back to this, and Ty, who's been in the Garden, you were in the Garden for games 3 and 4, said that if the Knicks don't get off to a good start on Friday, it's going to be some nervous energy. And you've been in many buildings, you've been in many playoff games, you've covered them like me, Bryan. How imperative is it just to jump ahead to Game 6 that the Knicks put this behind them and get out to a quick start, and then maybe we see a little bit of the 187 on the court here on Friday night?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, if you don't get now, listen. Obviously, they've shown the capacity to come back against this Boston team multiple times, but there's not any shred of doubt that if they get off to a slow start, the energy is going to be whatever, nervous, anxious, angry, whatever in that building. It's a really good home court advantage. It is, but there are going to be a lot of really, really jittery fans. If the Knicks dig themselves another 10-point, 11-point hole early.
Before I open it up, I know the other guys here have questions too, but I'd be remiss if I don't talk about Karl-Anthony Towns here tonight, because 29 minutes, 4 fouls, in foul trouble most of this game, Bryan. I know he finished with 19 points, 8 rebounds, 8 of 9 from the free throw line, 5 of 11, only 11 attempts here. I know the numbers might look good, but it wasn't good. Let's be honest. It was not good. Why does Cat seem to not be able to take advantage against this team that is sending smaller defenders at him all the time? And is it just simple as the fact that he makes these stupid fouls and can't stay on the court?
Well, I mean, when you're taking yourself off the floor with silliness, it doesn't make things easier. And in the case of Cat, it should be a huge advantage, as you point out, the smaller defenders. But I mean, we've seen Karl-Anthony Towns fail to take advantage of small defenders. It's not like trying to put somebody small on Shaq. We've seen in the past where he's failed to take advantage of smaller defenders. But listen, it's not just him. I mean, where was OG? I You see when Boston needed guys to step up, right? in the absence of Tatum, guys stepped up. But Jaylen Brown, as good as he was, and he was really good and did everything for that team. I'm not going to say Brunson was bad, but I would say Jaylen Brown outplayed him. Fine. That being said, it's not like the Knicks are devoid of talent or had guys that couldn't step up. What was OG? 1 for 12?
Yeah, so that's one. I think 1 for 11 last check. 1 for 12. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to win games shooting 35%, 34%, whatever they ended up at. You're not winning games that way. They're also not designed to win when they're not out rebounding somebody. I mean,
Right.
They're not built to go and get out rebounded and think they're going to win games. They're just not. They are designed to be able to pummel people on the boards. That's what they're built for. And when you're letting a shorthanded team out rebound you, now granted, Boston's desperate. You knew they were going to be desperate. But you've got to play to your strengths, and that is not something that they did tonight.
It's not something they did tonight at all. Knicks losing this one, this game 5. Game 6 will be on Friday night at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks will look to close it out. Guys, any questions?
Yeah, Brian, the Knicks shot 17 of 51 from 2. Just doing the quick math here, that's 33%. Like, what's your biggest takeaway from that? Like, given, I mean, I thought the Celtics played well defensively, but not well enough to the point where you're shooting 33% on 2s. And despite having a performance that ends up being 40% from 3, and some of that was helped out in garbage time, so really in the high 30s, like, you had some of the shots that you typically take and make like at your disposal, and you didn't convert them. And you also get 40 free throw attempts in this game if you're the Knicks and only hitting on 32. Like, there are some worrying signs from their offense today that can't carry over. But is there anything in particular that you think is going to be a sticking point in game 6?
Well, I mean, you touched on the free throws. I mean, listen, when they go hack a Mitch and he goes 6 for 6, it wasn't even him. This is the rest of these guys with free throws. I mean, so I'm not going to say that 80% is hard, but just do the math. You're talking 26 and 34 from the other guys. So yes, I mean that's worrying. Now again, I don't know how much you got to when you're factoring in what they're doing from 2. You have to look at what they were in the paint and around the restricted area, and then you have to look at what Cornette did to them. It's not unrelated. He was a deterrent all by himself. So that's not an unrelated thing. They are going to have to move the ball a little better than they did. I'm all for driving, but you've got to move the ball. You've got to be able to force the Celtics to move defensively. And the Celtics are a damn fine defensive team, a damn good defensive team. And that was a very good defensive performance by them. And you let them do that to you. You got to be able to dictate and move the ball. And that's not something that you saw a lot of today.
I actually think the defense was like the biggest, wow for me tonight. So the Celtics scored 127, and they were awful from the free throw line. So, I mean, even if the Knicks get past this series, you've got an Indiana team that wants to run up and down and gun. Like the defense, where I see Cat and Brunson, they're miscommunicating on some of these screens. I feel like that stuff should already be figured out.
Yeah, well, I mean, Indiana's a whole different animal. Yes, you're right. That's a team, I mean, they run on, forget misses. I mean, they run on makes. That's going to be a whole different kind of, offensive animal that you're going to be dealing with. That's, again, presuming that they get there.
There you go. That's what I've been saying, Brian.
I'm
I'm trying to tell these people not to put the cart before the horse.
Now.
There you go.
Let's just worry about getting there. Then I'll start worrying about the match. Because I'm telling you, they come out in game 6 already thinking about game 1. That's going to be a problem.
This is what I've been saying, Brian. I've been trying to say this. With that being said, in this loss and everything we talked about, what do you think the mood is in this Knicks locker room right now with a leader like we know, like Jalen Brunson, with Tibbs, with the guys in this veteran team in this locker room? What do you think the mood is, and how serious do you think it will be that they do come out with the requisite energy in Game 6?
I mean, my suspicion is that they will. I mean, that's a pretty emotionally resilient bunch, right? It won't be the first time that they've gotten smacked in the face and had a setback. I'm fairly confident that they'll come out with the proper energy, the kind of proper motivation. Now, they should probably, send Mazzulla an email and tell him to, send Porzingis to get well at her and hope he's back in the lineup. Because it's glaring how different Boston looked when he was in the lineup and when he was out. Shockingly so. But yeah, I'm not that worried about the Knicks coming out flat. It could happen. You never know. I wasn't in love with the way they started this game, but I am pretty confident that I think they'll get an early lift from the Garden. Now, it's requisite they have to do something with that. They're going to have to knock down shots, and it has to be somebody other than Brunson. And I would be willing to bet you Cat will probably get a few early posts because he does every game. He gets a couple early, and then you don't see him again.
Yeah, he also gets a couple fouls early. You don't see him
well, that's true.
That also happens.
That's true, but that's not rare. He's been doing that all season.
It's fair. It's fair.
I mean, I don't expect all of a sudden there to be some epiphany and him to change what he's done. We've seen it all year that he's a foul machine. So why would I expect it to start being more judicious with them now? Because he hasn't.
It's true. It's fair. I guess you're going to have the Knicks fans, and we're seeing them in the chat, that are good. This is panic mode. They didn't get it done tonight, Brian. They're up 3-1. You and I, or Bryan here, we've talked a lot about how this series was big to evaluate the Knicks. It was big to evaluate Tom Thibodeau. I thought Game 4 was an important game. We didn't talk to you before that, but I thought Game 4 was an important game for this team in terms of the evaluation series. They answered the call. They did not answer the call tonight. How big do you view Game 6 in terms of how we perceive this team, and particularly Tom Thibodeau? Because some people are saying, I see in the chat, Tom's coaching for his job if he blows this lead here 3-1. It was all the praise when he's up 2-0 and all the plays when he was up 3-1, and now it's 3-2. Are the stakes that high for Tom Thibodeau and this Knicks team here in this Game 6? Because both these guys here said to me, who wins Game 6 is going to win the series. Obviously, the Knicks will win the series. But if they lose the game, there's a Game 7, but they think all the momentum will be to Boston. So what are the stakes that high for the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau in this one?
I would probably tend to agree that whoever wins Game 6 wins the series. I think I would be not remiss. It's not the word I'm looking for. I think it's probably inappropriate for me to sit here and tell you what I think Thibodeau's fate is if he loses that game. I think, I am not plugged into that team and that front office, obviously, the way that Steph is. So I think that's probably, and I'm not trying to pass the buck. I just think I try not to speak on what I don't know. And I think that's probably a question best answered by Steph. But I completely understand how fans would look at it, or those on the outside in the national media might look at it and say, yeah, he'll be on the hot seat if he loses this. I certainly understand that. I just don't want to make any definitive statements about the thought process of Mr. Dolan when I don't know the thought process.
No, that's fair. We don't know what the thought process is. I think either way, what we can say, I think we all would agree, is this is a damn big game for the Knicks. That part I will say. I think this is a big game for them. I think how you close is important. I think another thing that you said, Brian, that's important is I felt this way before Game 4. I have full faith that Jalen Brunson will show up. Full faith in that he'll show up. Who else is going to show up with him? We've seen a good OG Anunoby in games 1 and games 4. 2, 3, 5, not good at all. I also will say I think Josh Hart will show up. Confident about that too.
I was going to say, if you ask me in terms of toughness, and I don't wager, as you know, but I would bet on Josh Hart. I mean, he was cut open. He was looking like Creed out there, but he'll show up. I have no doubt about that. Now, is he going to hit shots? I don't know. But he'll show up. And I think Mikal will show up defensively. It's his jumper that comes and goes. I think Mikal will play solid defense because for the most part he has. But again, that's where we're coming back to the same thing. It's a make or miss league, and somebody other than Jalen Brunson is going to have to hit shots. Eventually, you're not going to beat a team that's that good defensively unless you make shots.
Beside making shots, Brian, I think last thing for me before we wrap here, besides shot making, which obviously is what you need, you have to outscore the team to win the game. What do you think are the keys for Game 6 for the Knicks to come out on top in Game 6? What are your keys to the game, and how do they get a victory and move on to the conference finals?
Well, again, that probably depends largely on who's Boston's starting center. Is it Kornet or is it Porzingis? Because the way Porzingis is played, you can attack the rim if you really can. But I don't know. Missoula's got some tough decisions ahead. You've got a locked-in starter who's a $30 million man who is not right and is not playing well. Do you play him? If you play him, then the Knicks can attack him. As far as adjustments, though, I mean, tactically, I'm not sure that the tactics were so much the issue other than the lack of ball movement. But again, this is not a team that has moved the ball exceptionally well anyway, right? This is not the vintage Warriors, right? That's not how they play. But they are definitely going to have to crash. They can't beat that team getting out rebounded. I guess it's possible. I shouldn't say can't. Never say never, right? But they're not built to do it. So that's a team that's going to have to be physical. They're going to have to crash the offensive glass and beat them up and get second chance points, especially if jumpers are going to be that hard to come by.
Nah, all good keys here. Oh, I got one other thing. Was Tibbs tripping here by not taking the starters out with 6-7 minutes left after Brunson got fouled? I'm not the minutes police, Brian. You know where I am on this. I'm not down with the minutes police. But was he tripping leaving the starters in there that long?
Yes. But again, and we've discussed this before, like, you're going to do what you're going to do, right? Like when you say, if somebody asks me, oh, do I trust this person, right? My response is, I trust them to do what their history shows they're going to do, right? It's against Tibbs's DNA to pull guys. He just can't. I mean, he probably would start twitching if you asked him to start pulling the guy. Just can't do it. So I can't sit here and say I was shocked. Right? If you didn't know Tibbs, you didn't know anything about it. Like you just watched college basketball, right? You're not into the NBA. And if I took the biggest college fan and said, watch this game, he would probably have looked and said, what is this coach thinking? Who is that guy? And why is he leaving his starters in there? And then all the NBA fans in the room would turn to him and say, it's Tibbs. That's just him.
You're right. That's exactly how it would go. All right, we'll see what the Knicks can do in Game 6 on Friday. Brian, we thought this series was over. We thought we were all going to get a little bit of a break before the conference finals. These guys here had put the Knicks in the conference finals already, and I tried to tell them, you got to take things one game at a time.
I felt like today they could lose though. To be fair,
You know what it is, Brian? We saw the Knicks up 3-1 against the Pistons lay an egg at home. So I felt like that experience was going to catapult them to not allow it to happen again. So I thought the Knicks, more mature, feeling like, all right, we got our chance to punch our ticket to the conference finals. They don't have their best player. I felt like they were going to come out and do what they were supposed to do tonight.
Well, maybe this is the lesson learned. Maybe that'll bear fruit in Game 6, right? Because I do agree with you. I mean, this team, they can't. I think there is going to be a lot of nervous energy in the building if they start slow. I'm not necessarily predicting that they will start slow. Hopefully, they'll come out with the right mindset and the right energy and the right physicality, and that won't be an issue.
Hopefully, we can hope, because if it's not, it's gonna be nervous. It's gonna be nervous.
Right?
I already see from the fan base in the chat, it's nervous energy. People are talking about next season as if the season is over. I'm like, what is? I see you guys in the chat. What the hell is wrong with you? They still have a game to play to win to go to the conference finals, and people are talking about next season. Unbelievable, Brian. Unbelievable. What are you gonna do?
I mean, listen. I mean, Knicks fans shouldn't be talking about next season. I mean, leave that for like the Nets. All right, the Nets can be sitting there worried about next season. You just worry about Game 6. Don't worry about next season. Don't worry about Game 1 against Indiana. Don't worry about that. Just worry about closing out the Celtics.
I agree.
In Game 6. Don't even think about it. Just worry about Game 6, man. Just worry about what's in front of you.
I feel like that is good life advice right there. Hopefully the Knicks take the great wise words and the wisdom from Brian Lewis, our great sports reporter with the New York Post. Brian, we appreciate you, man. We will talk to you after Game 6. Hopefully it's a happy recap. Hopefully. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. That is the great Brian Lewis of the New York Post Sports, doing a great job talking to us here about everything that's going on. We will take a couple questions from people in the chat before we bounce here. So we're going to put those up on the screen and see what we've got from people in the chat. See a lot of anger. A lot of anger in the chat.
more than I thought.
A lot of anger.
We scrolled too much. Wait, go back up. There was a lot that we went over.
A lot of anger in the chat.
This is why you love playoff basketball.
Oh,
The
yeah.
ebbs and flows of emotions. Knicks fans after what was that? Game 4.
Oh, they were
We're
high.
going to the finals.
Yeah.
Forget the Pacers. We're going to the finals. And now it's up. Off season.
This is why I was saying the things I said earlier, which is like I take it one game at a time. Even watching these games, I've watched too much postseason sports in these series.
They're killing Mikhail.
I've watched this.
Wait, Mikel's getting dogged?
Because he disappeared today
Oh,
after
no.
the heroics. Look, people say you're only good as your last whatever it is. fill in the
Mikel
blank.
Bridges is actually a microcosm of playoff basketball. Because, like, you win a game, it's like, oh, we're never losing. Like, how do you beat this team?
Like you didn't just see the loss of the game before.
right.
Like you didn't just see
lose.
this.
You lose, and it's like, man, Mikel Bridges, this fraud, 5 first.
We were
round
talking
picks.
about him asking for a max.
We were talking about that, and
We
I
did that during this show.
and I still don't go off of my position on that
Me
based
neither.
on what he's done in the
act-
playoffs.
No, I'm telling you, whether you think he wants one or not, the ask will be there.
You gotta
Yeah,
ask.
it's the agent's job to ask for as much as they think the
Right. The
client
team
can
has
get.
to responsibly pay him as they should.
Really
He
more than they think the client
gets,
can
whether
get.
he
Settle for
gets a
less.
max or not, he's getting
Yeah,
extension.
yeah, they're gonna
Right.
ask that.
And
Size 9
Yes.
has a bunch. We can't afford to start off injured again. Can't have it both ways. Either you're with Tibbs or you're not.
I don't agree with that. I think there's nuance to
You can have
everything,
you can
right?
have it both ways.
nuance is lacking these days.
Yeah,
Well,
you,
yeah,
you
it's
could
so
have it
soft.
both ways because it's like if I think I get what you're saying. Like there's people that were saying like, oh, Tibbs is not coaching for his job anymore, and now he is again or whatever. Like I kind of get that, but like the context of it matters. I still don't think Tibbs gets fired if they collapse, but like It's a
Yeah.
conversation to be had if you do it to a team that just lost their best player because of an Achilles
I
injury.
agree. That's the context that matters in it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there's also the most important context to it is the captain of the team, the best player, publicly is a big fan of Tom Thibodeau. You do not make wholesale changes to a
I
team
agree,
without
yes.
running it by your best
Brunson,
player.
Yes.
Brunson's not allowing that to happen.
I don't-
I never bought into the whole Tibbs could get fired thing because Jalen loves him. But you know, obviously that'll be something people talk about if they blow this 3-1
If they
lead.
blow
I
it
had
up.
set up here, I thought it was something that could happen if they got swept. Like if every game was like game 3,
Yeah.
then I think that like that's the scenario where like now, even if you squander the lead, the fact that they built it might be enough. I don't know. But
I
also
think
like
it matters. What you did before matters. You can't just take all that out
but
of
let's
it.
also see how they finish first.
Yes, I think that matters too.
Yeah.
I see Dev in the post said, Dex, y'all need a slightly longer post-game show. Well, we appreciate the fact that you want more time with us because not everybody wants time with people. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
we
that's
appreciate your time with you. That's love. So, Dev, I hear you. We'll see what we can do about extending some things as we if
now we're
going
saying
forward.
if okay.
No, because we can only go as forward as much as the Knicks go forward.
I mean, unless you want to start, doing watch-alongs for the rest of the playoffs.
I mean, no.
Listen,
It's called New York Got Game, not NBA Got Game.
Listen, Dex is already down in the dumps, man. I saw him looking at the Steelers' upcoming schedule.
No, I didn't. No, I
He's
didn't.
already like-
I swear I
He's
did it.
already
I swear
off
I
the
did it.
Knicks.
I swear I paid no attention to the NFL today. I know the NFL fans were excited about the schedules. All I know is the Steelers play the Jets week 1. Is that game at MetLife? Or in Pittsburgh?
It's in MetLife. Like they're anticipating Aaron's going to be a Steeler. So it's
Are you getting
return to
Madden this
MetLife.
year? You
No,
getting
I
Madden
haven't
this
got
year?
bought Madden in years. But anyway, yeah.
Even if you get Aaron Rodgers, you're definitely not getting Madden this year.
What I don't want Aaron Rodgers part of Steelers. That's a whole other thing.
What else do we have in the comment section?
What else we got for some people? I saw a lot of back and forth between Size 9 and some other people.
Joe Blosif.
Joe Blosif. That great name.
Oh, man.
Fantastic name.
I don't know how I feel.
He's criticizing Cat. Said
Said
Cat
Cat
looked weak as usual. And there's some talk back and forth between who's better, Cat or Julius. Here.
Man. Well,
Here's my. Do we have to go back to, like, for these fans that are
think people
obsessed with
will.
last year's team?
I think people will, and the reason is the Wolves may close this out tonight against the Warriors.
But what one team does has nothing to do with your team.
I think people would disagree.
How insecure are you that you're worried about what
I
another
agree
team
with
does?
you, but I'm telling you, you will get pushed back.
Who
on it.
cares?
I also think
cares
that
what the Wolves do?
it's a little bit of prisoner moment. When we saw Cat hit those shots against the Pistons in Game 4,
Oh, this is what we
No.
brought him here for.
no one was talking
Right.
about Julius
It's
Randle.
a joke.
By the way, shout out to Randle, man. He's exercised those
balling.
playoff demons.
Yeah, he's been balling.
But Cat,
Well, he did it against the Lakers and the Warriors, which are two amazing matchups for the Wolves.
yeah, but
Now,
the Warriors.
you
had
do it against the Thunder.
The Warriors had the #1 defense since the Butler trade.
That's
I know
fine.
the size.
That's
is an
fine.
issue.
But the size is what matters.
I do
to
think
me.
it's a good matchup for him. I do agree with
You
your
do,
points.
you do this against this is why I don't take the Wolves seriously yet. Do this against
I
the
like
Wolves
how
or the
they're playing,
Nuggets.
though.
Well, the Nuggets, they kind of have their number too. But do this against the Thunder, then okay, fine.
But that's unfair because, what if the Nuggets win?
The Lakers,
so it's like
the
he
thing,
plays well for 3 straight rounds, and we give him no credit because he didn't do it against Oklahoma City.
well, here's the thing: the Lakers, and we're gonna get back to the Knicks in a second. The Lakers have no center, and the Warriors have no center. Like that's why I'm like, I need to see them. I need to see them in another.
But yeah, well, I kind of agree with Ty a little bit here, though. It's like you got to give him credit for playing well.
Yeah, like
If
he's
he shot
balling-
badly-
like credit for playing well,
Yeah.
but also like I'm not fully buying into the Wolves is my larger point,
Oh, that's fine.
and I'm
Okay.
not fully buying into Julius Randle's 16-game player yet.
Okay.
I'll wait to the.
But so
conference
far,
finals.
so good. Man.
So far he's been great in the playoffs, but
So
they
far,
got some good matchups. Anyway,
so far, so good. I understand. Listen, I'll get back to this. I wanted to get on Joe's point here. I understand the Cat critiques here. I understand the frustrations with Cat. You just talked about his highs in the Detroit series.
Yeah.
Right? And then we've seen lows. I think this was a series everybody's calling for that you needed to see more stuff out of Cat. Cat has not delivered in the series. Let's be clear.
I just think the Celtics are a tough matchup for him.
Sometimes people
It
are
would have
tough
been
matchups
even
from
more
players.
tough for if
If
KP
KP,
had
yep.
been playing.
yep.
That's really what the disappointing part is.
I see.
He's
I
getting-
like
he's
I
getting
like that
rebounds, and
nuance and
that's not it.
context there because I think that's part of the disappointment. If KP had been playing as healthy,
Yeah.
I think people would say, "Well, it's a tough matchup for him." You still want to see more. Here's the thing: even if something's a tough matchup, you know what people want to see. They won't see you on the floor,
Yeah.
right?
That
And he's-
that
They want to
was it,
see
the
you
third
earn
foul?
your money.
Third
What was the
foul.
Derek
That's
White
the
foul
thing.
he picked up?
That was the third foul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff.
And then the fourth
can't
foul was the one
happen.
where he reached in on Brown.
Yeah, when he's trying to guard him on the perimeter.
I mean, look,
Yeah.
Those are the things there's no excuse for it.
There's no excuse
and
for it.
ultimately in the NBA, like nowadays, for better or for worse, you're judged by your contract, and this is what people will be saying. It's like, listen, this is someone who's going to hit 60 million before the end of his deal if he takes that last year player option, and like that wasn't a like a small trade, so people are going to have the magnifying glass on him.
Here's my thing.
He's somebody who, like, he's rebounded well in this series, but that's kind of it. He's had a couple of decent games, and his numbers will look palatable even today. But
I thought he had a good second half of game 4. I thought he was really good in the second half of game 4.
Yeah, and then we saw today, like, there was just no impact there. Now, but it can ebb and flow game to game with Cat.
I will say
that's
this,
part of the experience.
I will say this, guys. Like I say this about any teams and players. People can judge you based on the last performance, and if you're down on Cat tonight, I understand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're going to be judged by how you respond, like anything else in life. You're down. If Cat bounces back and has a great game 6, all of y'all will be like, see, that's why they made the trade. Thank you, Leon Rose, blah, blah, blah. You're going to say all that. So it does matter how he bounces back. We can get into all this stuff about him and how he didn't play good tonight, and it's all true. But he's got to bounce back in a major way. And we talked about the guys we trust. Brian Lewis just said it. Brunson, you trust that Josh Hart's going to show up.
And that's the problem. Like, Brunson being as consistent as he is kind of hacks your brain into thinking the second star should be just as consistent and not giving you the production that Brunson gives you. But whatever you are, Cat, we should, just kind of bake that into the equation every single night. And the fact that, he's just always on the floor and complaining about officiating, and he's on the bench because he's in foul trouble. There's like too much going on it. Like that stuff. It's just
Brian hates that
because it's also the way he shrugs. He's not here with it. He's up here. You know what I mean?
Meme going around, right? Like,
I get it. Dev is in here said, but you don't think Tibbs will get fired if we become only the 14th team to blow 3-1 lead after they lose the top 5 MVP caliber player. Here's kind of what I'll say to this, okay?
Like the how matters, So.
I'm not sure. Doc Rivers still gets jobs.
Doc Rivers is winning a championship.
Yes, this is fair.
And
a long time ago. And that's not me throwing shade to Doc Rivers, because I think Doc Rivers takes too much heat for the 3-1 leads than he should.
But what do we keep talking about, though, with, all right, if you're going to, and we don't want to have like a full-blown fire Tibbs discussion, whatever. Like, we could save that for after, whenever this run ends, or if they win the title. But like,
look at you, look at the ifs now coming out. I see.
But I'm saying, like, listen, you got to evolve with context, with new information.
I feel like that's
but ultimately, to answer the question, it's like, look, the how matters, and if you're going to fire Tibbs, people who want to fire Tibbs, for who? Because that's the important thing here.
Malone.
Is it Michael Malone? Is it Taylor Jenkins? Both of whom were kind of like, are we sure? Like, that's sort of the answer. Or is it going to be somebody that nobody knows? And are the Knicks going to do that? Are they going to hire like a Mark Daigneault, who nobody knew before he got hired, and now everyone thinks he's one of the best coaches in the NBA, and he is a damn good coach?
Look.
Just make Rick Brunson the head coach.
But
why are you trolling, man?
That is an old school, and by old school I mean 2007 Knicks type of move. Even Phil Jackson probably would have did that.
I would say this, like, to answer Deb's question, and we appreciate you, Deb, for checking it.
Yes,
I'm saying this to the Knicks fan base. You could be disappointed about tonight's loss. I am not telling you how to feel, but I find it interesting that some go all the way into panic mode. And they're like, oh, now they're going to blow a 3-1 lead, and this is going to happen. If you look at this series, and granted, I don't think the Knicks have played outside of the second half of game 4 is the best they played, and then you take the fourth quarters in games 1 and 2, they played really well, right? You're still waiting for that complete game. Game 4 is as close as you got to a complete game because they weathered the runs.
But I think contextually, game 4 is
fine.
That's what you're looking for.
That's fine.
Against that team,
because they weathered the runs and were mostly consistent.
Minute complete game against the
Celtics. Look, they're up 3-2. They've been trailing for most of the series.
My point is, you get 4 now. Okay, but take that.
Yeah.
Take that part, right? And if you're a Knicks fan and you're saying, "Hey, this team is," you look at what happened against Detroit. You look at how they've won these games here. For all you guys that were concerned about toughness, they've shown toughness.
No, they've shown that.
They've shown grit.
Mhm.
So if you believe in the tough and grit, and you didn't see it tonight, and they're
Yeah.
coming back home to Madison Square Garden, why would you not believe that they will show it again not in Game 6? That's my question. I'm throwing back to the fans.
Just the
Why would
2-3 record at home and how it's looked.
Yeah.
The 2 wins. Think about this. Game 1 against the Pistons, where they were trailing in the fourth quarter. They needed a 21-0 run to win that game.
Yep.
And then it's Game 4 against the Celtics. They were down 14 in the third quarter. Once again, they scored 37 in that third quarter.
Yeah.
So it's just they don't look their best at home.
That's what we keep talking about. It's like, how often are you going to need the heroics? That's ultimately what it comes down to. It's like, how often are you going to continue to put yourself into these holes that you have to? And by you, it's really Jalen Brunson a lot of the times. How many times is he going to have to dig his way out or dig the team out of those situations? Like, you can't put yourself in that situation.
Before it just wears on you.
Yeah, and against a Tatumless team at home in Game 6 in the Garden in what is now the biggest game for the Knicks in 25 years. Because I mean,
It is now.
Yeah,
Well, we
is.
said that. We said
At
that
this point,
about Game
in
3.
Game
We
four.
said about Game 4. Now we said now.
If they lose Game 6, it
man.
definitely will be in Game
Could you
7
imagine?
the biggest. Like,
Oh
that,
my
like that's the thing.
goodness.
They got off to a decent start today, comparatively, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were leading
They were
after the
leading
first
after
quarter.
the first
It was
quarter.
They were
actually-
tied at
It's
halftime.
actually their best start of the series.
They had their best first half of the series.
But like this is what it takes. Like, you have to be more consistent, because even without Jayson Tatum, what a lot of people give Jayson Tatum shit for is because the team is so good around him and they quote unquote don't need him. Now, I don't necessarily
it's
buy into that,
silly.
but I
Yeah.
buy into the first part being the team is really good around him, as you saw. Like, it wasn't just 3-point variance. It was they were generating
The
these
Celtics
looks.
are a good team.
Yes.
Man.
And the point of it is, like, they're capable of taking one in the Garden too. So that's where this gets a little dangerous.
Yes, you know
But
why?
this is where
No, Tommy, cut you go.
this is where we go back to Cat. Your stars got to be stars.
Yeah.
Like Game 6 at home, chance to get to the conference finals. Jalen, we all agree is going to be special.
We don't. We
Coming
have
off
no
of a game
We're,
doubt.
we're taking the over on Jalen
Where
Brunson.
he struggled, he fouled out. There's like a 0% chance he just doesn't come out and be
Ooh,
awesome.
let me find the line.
Cat, this is one of those games, man. Jalen Brown tonight. This was your moment, and we're talking
He
about
rose
a
to the
champion.
occasion. He
We're
rose to the
talking
occasion.
about a Finals MVP.
He rose to the occasion. You got
This is your moment, Jalen Brown. He showed up tonight.
He
Damn near
showed-
triple double.
I agree with you.
So that's where your stars
and
gotta be stars.
I think people are waiting for not the Cat. I'm not saying it was not a moment. You had Cat moments in Games 3 and Games 4 against Detroit, particularly Game 4 when he hit those shots to come back. But what people are waiting for is what you're talking about there, Ty. That kind of moment where he puts his stamp on the game. You know what? Y'all ain't holding me tonight.
Yeah.
I'm dropping 34.
I was
I'm
gonna
grabbing
say, yeah.
15. I'm knocking down 4 to 5 threes.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't got nothing for me. I've seen Cat do before. Let's not act like Cat didn't have games on the way to the Western Conference Finals last year.
In the
He
conference
did.
finals last year.
But
yeah.
I think you know what would be nice? I think to your point, we know Jalen Brunson come up, but what if Friday night's a Cat game?
Yes.
You know how good people will feel if it's a Cat game? They're going to feel really good about that statement game. Now, Cat I like how he plays in the Garden. He likes playing in the Garden, all that good stuff. But I think a Cat game will go a long way. What do you got?
He's got Jalen Brunson's over under.
No, he's got the opening line.
The line opened.
And the
Uh-oh.
Celtics are favored.
Wait, can we
No.
guess it?
Yeah, okay. We'll play guess the lines. We'll rip that from
Oh.
somebody else.
Hey, wait. So you said no when you said the Celtics aren't favored? The Knicks are favored?
Yes, for now.
So that's a
it's 1.5.
close line, 1.5.
So Knicks 1.5.
So the Knicks opened at -3. It's now Knicks -1.5 at
That's-
one very popular book
That means people have rushed and placed
They're-
tons of
they're
bets on the Celtics.
on the Celtics.
Good. I like that.
Who is with Tatum great on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Great.
Listen.
Now without Tatum, we'll see. But
look,
this is they did win. I think that game that we referenced earlier against Orlando, I think that was a road game.
that was
they won
game
without Tatum.
3. That might have been game 3.
Oh,
Three.
so that was
It was
at
game
home.
3.
That was at home. No, that was
No,
on the
that
road.
was on the
That was
road,
on the
yeah,
road.
no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no.
look, man. You got
I think it was on the road.
come out
It was definitely on
on
the
the
road.
road. Come
boy.
out, take care of your business. It'll happen.
Wow.
Dev here says, like, yeah, can we just have one blowout? Is that too much to ask? I hear you, bro. Like, I understand.
They haven't had any.
They haven't had any blowouts.
Yeah,
And
come
I
on,
listen,
man.
and here's the thing.
Cardiac Knicks.
I get it for the Knicks fan. They're like, look, I want to sit here and just enjoy the game on Friday night. You know what I'm saying? Kick back, do whatever you do to relax the game, and have them cruise into the conference finals. I want that for you. But you know what? I think it takes a lot of what Ty is talking about here. You're going to need them to deliver in a way where the stars clearly step up.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson is 28.5 points under. He is plus 750 to score 40. For that optimistic.
I might throw some money on that if I was you. I might do that. But you would like it if it doesn't come to that. I think that would be nice for
to be fair, I
the
think
Knicks
he
fan.
could do it in a blowout also. Like, I think he could have just he could have a 20-point first half. Now he just needs to get help because he can't do it all by himself.
I'd like to know how confident the Knicks fans are because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of confidence in the chat.
Hey, bet on them.
That
the line's moving toward the Celtics.
Yeah, that the Knicks are going to win this game. Like, I think the Knicks are going to win Game 6. I'm going to come out and say this. I think the Knicks are going to win Game 6.
Did you feel they were going to win tonight?
I did, but I wasn't as confident.
Yeah.
I feel more confident about Friday than I do tonight.
Yeah, I felt like Boston would win tonight, and I've been leaning because of that. I was like, I think the Knicks finish this in 6. I felt like Boston had one. I felt like Boston had this in them for a game. Do they have it for another game? I think they do, but I think the Knicks will probably like put a stand.
I think Luke Cornett is going to look like the Dikembe Mutombo again on the road?
Yeah.
I don't
know.
The
Luke Cornett thing. It's the, is OG going 1 for 12? Is Brunson going to foul out? Is Cat going to be that bad?
No.
Those are the things that if you're a Knicks fan, you're holding out hope for as far as like winning this game and trying to do so convincingly. That would be nice. What's the margin of victory for the Knicks? So far? I want to look that up.
One. Huh. I'm trying to think what else we got here. What else is margin? We got 1 in the first 2 games. They won by 7 in Game 4.
I have it here.
So yeah.
Okay, so the Pistons. Do you want like everything combined, or
the 7-point win in Game 4 is their largest point of victory in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken?
No,
right?
They have 2 double-digit wins against the Pistons.
Oh, Game 1, I'm forgetting about. And what's the other double-digit win?
Game 3. Oh no, I mean one. My bad.
Yeah.
1 double-digit win against
Game
the
1.
Pistons. It was Game 1
yeah.
where the campaign and Jalen Brunson couldn't miss a shot in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the campaign.
And they just kind of like that's what
then
it was.
He came out in Game 2.
Now they were losing for 3 quarters before that, but then they did what they've been doing against.
That'd be nice to have another campaign game. Again.
So
the I'm just saying.
Mr.
I'm my fellow Steelers fan. I want to see campaign do well.
Campaign was 1.5 points. Did he score?
He did not. He did not.
Campaign, come on, bro. 14-17. So they won by a combined, the 4 games they won by 17 points against the Pistons.
I mean, listen.
So that's by an average of 4 a game.
And then in this series,
right.
They won by 3.
You have a 3-point win, a 1-point win, and an 8-point win.
Look, here's what I'll say. And we'll wrap in a second.
That's 12. So it's by 4. The average,
at the end of the
when
day,
they win games, they just win by 4.
Would you like a nice, comfortable win? Absolutely.
Because literally every team gets those.
Right.
Like, name the team that hasn't had that yet.
Maybe it's coming if they get to the next round. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if you're winning close and tough games, it matters for something.
Yeah.
You know how to get wins in those tight situations.
But if you're doing it in rounds 1 and 2,
versus
you could run into a problem later.
You could, depending on the matchup, because it always depends on how things
yeah.
match up. But what I will say is, I think the point you're trying to make is sometimes playing stressful minutes time and time again can catch up to you. So you need a little break every now and then.
3 Tibbs.
And we'll see.
And the Pacers, like the Pistons, you didn't trust them in crunch time because of their inexperience.
Yeah. Yep.
The Celtics, you just don't trust their decision making. You know who's excellent in crunch time?
Pacers.
Indiana.
But you know who's excellent in crunch time too?
The Knicks.
Yeah, they are. That's why it's a phenomenal matchup once we get there.
There we go. That's what I'm saying. Not jumping the gun until they get there. We'll see if they get there. Well, before getting there, look, I'm sorry, my friend. You were 0-1 in the seat, and people are now going to look at you differently. They might call in the next time you're on the air and say, Todd Butler did not deliver on New York Got Game Live in a closeout situation. They might look at you and say,
"This was Mariano Rivera in that 2004 Red Sox series." Because I called myself Mariano the closer.
You did, and now you look like him in 2004 or maybe 2001 against the Diamondbacks, whatever you want to say for the Yankee fans out.
There was a blow save against the Knicks, the Mets, where I think he had a long streak leading up to that game.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, was that at
2000?
That was at. Was it Shea or
Shea?
It might have been at Shea Stadium.
Was that long ago?
Yeah.
I'm getting old.
Yeah, I remember that. Damn Yankees winning that series. I won't talk about that. That's just
They
that
did.
makes me
I don't
feel-
remember that part.
That makes me feel bad.
I remember. I'm old enough to remember when the Mets had Eric Young Jr. on a promotional poster on Baseball Tonight for their game that night. That's the state.
Yeah, that was those dark times. Dark times. We talk about dark times in the Knicks. We do not need to talk about the dark times.
That's like putting
of the
Chris
Knicks.
Duhon on a poster
Nope.
for the Knicks.
Don't need to do that.
Shout-
But
shout out Al Harrington.
but hey,
Yes.
just because you were 0-1 doesn't mean you can't come back.
Hope so.
I'm just letting you know. A lot of people, there's other people sat here and they're 0-1 now too. You know what I'm saying? Some people came through in the clutch. Not saying you're not clutch. I'm just stats and stats. You know what I'm saying?
Aaliyah, man, we tried to hold y'all down, and then me and Aaliyah.
You and Aaliyah tried to hold you down. Rest in peace, Aaliyah.
It's not his fault that they couldn't guard the 3-point line.
Let the people know who are watching. You know where they can find you, what you're doing.
Hit me up, Ty D Butler on Twitter, on Instagram, and I'm also hanging out in the Bleacher Report app. So I got a stream coming up tomorrow. Talk some NBA playoffs. I'm on the radio tomorrow as well with Bart Scott from 10 to 1.
Ooh.
So make sure y'all check me out tomorrow, me and Bart.
Tell Bart, Dexter says he hopes he's been pro Knicks all the whole time. I know that. Hope he's not too angry about the loss.
Pistons, yeah.
Hey, he's Pistons. Yeah. I didn't get to talk to him in the Pistons series. He you know, he's being super Detroit out there. But tell Bart I said what's up. I hope he's back on the Knicks bandwagon like he's supposed to be. Tell Dexter said he's supposed to be like that. So we'll see if he's out there. All right, check him out tomorrow, 10 to 1. Bart Scott on the Bleacher Report app. I'm definitely see what you're talking about on there. You got to keep the Knicks fans calm
and poised.
And poised
cool.
so they can be ready.
That's
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. All right, so game 6, Bryan and ourselves will be back. We still do not know who our guest will be. Who's going to be sitting in the seat?
Yeah, we didn't necessarily prep for game 6.
But we'll be ready. So we'll have more announcements on who's going to be joining us for game 6.
It out.
I got an idea. Special thanks to everybody working behind the scenes.
Yes.
Juliana Turdo, Tommy Hogan, Tommy Cohen, Wesley Spain, the crew doing a great job with us, making us look great live. We're going to sign off. We will be back here on Friday, hopefully with good vibes.
8 o'clock.
And then you got some stuff from Ty to give you some good vibes before that. He just told you where to check all that out. So I'm Dexter Henry for Bryan Fonseca, the great Ty Butler. Out. Catch y'all on Friday. Peace.